welcome to the Mindset Michelle TV show, and we're so excited that you're joining us again for another fabulous show with another fabulous guest. And this week's amazing guest is Brad Conyers. Hello, Brad.
G'day. Hi, Michelle.
Brad is an incredible human being, but also has a lot of skills and expertise in the telco area. Now, we're not here today to bore you about telco and phones and all of that, but I'm sure it will be part of Brad's story. How does somebody become not just involved in IT, but involved in that area or specialist area around telco or telecommunications, I should say? I've known Brad for a number of years now, and he's one of the good guys, and he has a big heart of gold. But before I make him blush anymore and say too much, Brad, why don't you share a little bit about yourself and share who you are with everybody?
Oh, thanks, Michelle, and thank you so much for having me on the show. I really feel honoured to be here, and just really feel pretty blessed to have you interview me. So thank you so much. Yeah, look, I have a technology background. I started off in an apprenticeship with a group called Honeywell. And they really spent a lot of time making sure that their apprenticeship program that still runs today was one of the best. It was like you either went to Conyers or Honeywell. If you got any one of those jobs, you knew you were in a really, really good place. And it was just a really good training ground, and they really achieved, or they wanted you to really achieve your best and go for being the best at what you can do. So probably a good start in life to get that sort of grounding, and the whole company was like that. So your environment was really promoting that, and they weren't expecting anything less than that. So I did really well with Honeywell, and I got some pretty good and I've still got a lot of friends in that today, and a lot of the people I did my time with are still in Honeywell, and I think they're just running the place now. So which is great. You couldn't ask for a better bunch of people to be running the place here. So that was a little bit of my background in technology. I went out of the building management area, and I went into telco. That was around about in 2000. I got a pretty good opportunity to work on 3. If you remember when 3 was launched in Australia, it was the first 3G network in Australia, and it was all about video calls. And we were going, who's going to use the video call? And was there a phone that could do the video call? And who was going to do it? And what was it about? And you'd have this phone, it'd flip open, it looked like a makeup compact, and you'd be sort of like talking to it. It looked like a little headphone, and that it was absolutely hilarious. And but it certainly got pretty good momentum now. If you think about everyone doesn't exist without a smartphone today, and video calling, and that is also really important these days now. So so I went into 3. That was my first taste of telco. It was running a very large project. And then I went and did, I had an epiphany to get into the coffee industry. Now, coffee is just one of those amazing things, and I haven't left it alone ever since I found it. I had this, I remember having a macchiato. I sipped it, and it tasted like toasted marshmallows, and I couldn't work out how could that little drink be so absolutely wonderful. And I worked out what it was, and for about, I don't know, about 3 or 4 years, I went on a journey. I did all sorts of things to do with running a cafe, supplying coffee, becoming an Australian barista judge, to work out everything that was to do with coffee. And still to today, I still have a lot of friends in the coffee and cafe industry, and it's just wonderful to still be invited in and do coffee tastings and do a whole lot of things. So obviously had some impression on them, and they still want to keep me involved in there.
You didn't drink all the coffee.
I didn't drink all the coffee, but and I also maintain I don't drink that much coffee during the day. I have as many as 2 just in the morning. Believe me, I've got enough energy to keep going after that. So it's all good. And then after that, I went back into the telco industry for a little while. I worked with Nokia. For 5 years, I was the account manager into Vodafone. That was a massive account. That was really massive. We looked after all of Vodafone's field services. We looked after their network. We built their network. And that gave me a huge expense budget, which is fantastic. I just couldn't spend it quick enough. I really couldn't. such a bad problem to have, as long as you're in control at some point in time. But look, after all that, I went into my own business, and that was called Espresso Net. Yes, it's Espresso Net. I love the coffee. I put caffeine in the network to make it run faster, and I've been doing that for over 9 years now. So, yeah, I suppose that's a little bit of my background on how I got to where I am right now.
Wow, wow, what an interesting journey. And I love how you've you've kept the coffee flavor going as such by your company name being called Espresso Net, to kind of bring it back to your other passion of coffee, even while you're working in the telco area. And I think the other thing that's interesting with that journey is that it's all around service. So service, whether it's with telco or service in IT or service with coffee. And I can see that service has been a really big part of your background. How do you think, or do you think it's kind of influenced what you might define as success then? What does success mean to you?
Yeah, thanks. That's a really good observation, Michelle. Yeah, I realised, yeah, probably in around about 2000, when I probably did my first NLP, like a breakthrough session. And I know you know what that is, what a breakthrough session is, when you really get to know who you are and what your purpose is and what you're about. I then realised that it was about communication, and for me, having relationships, but business relationships, personal relationships, and friends, and was really important to me. And I did it well, and I did it without thinking, and I could do it probably 2 or 3 times better than what anyone else could do it, again, without much effort. So the more I spent time learning about that space, I got better, I could influence better, and I had more enjoyment doing it, and the outcomes that I was starting to achieve were far bigger than what I ever anticipated. So, you know, and I know you've gone through the journey as well. When you go and invest time in learning about yourself, if you spend, you know, $5 on your, I won't use real numbers because it always shocks everyone, but if I spend $10 on my, $10 on my learning, I'm expecting, you know, a $30 or $40 return from that. So, and I have never ever seen that deliver anything different. It's always been a far better multiplication factor as soon as I start learning about myself. So, to the answer of what do I think success is, I think it's that it's the continual realization of what I'm about. So it's either the affirmation about, you know, what I'm doing, and I'm supporting and helping people, and I continually do that. I can't help do it. I'm always solving a problem. My wife thinks that I create problems, but I don't. I'm solving problems.
And I love how you tied that into so nicely with the continued realization of who you are.
Yeah.
So for you, it sounds like that curiosity, and it comes out in the form, some of the forms it comes out in is solving people's problems or solving problems. But it's that realization. And for those that don't understand, NLP is neuro-linguistic programming, and it's a great technique and tool that you can use, as Brad's been sharing, about understanding where your skills are and why you're good at those skills and what really makes you tick and makes you so happy. So that was a great way of segueing into, you know, things that we can talk about now, Brad, that you believe have led to your mindset success, and what you can share with others about how they can also start to build that in their own lives. What sort of suggestions or tips would you have?
Yeah, thanks, Michelle. I think, look down the mindset path. So I consumed a lot of books. All those books were about human behaviour and success factors. Look, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill is by far one of those ones where you pick it up and you read it 3 or 4 times, and then you get into 10 times, and every time you put it down, you're a different person for the fact that you read it again. So I've consumed a lot of books, but I really got into the Strengths Finder Index, which I think is the Gallup's way. Yeah. So understanding what you're about, and then there's a whole lot of themes inside that. So I did that. I probably consumed 4 or 5 different books, different people's versions of that, and and it was really, I found that really helpful. So the Strengths Finder Index. And then I went to, in different organisations where I was either consulting or playing a part, you know, I'd always get a little bit drawn towards the, you know, the personal development and career stuff. And I'd be talking to the people looking after that. And it was always good. They were always sort of like, you know, going down the path of either a strengths finder or having, you know, coaches that are just involved, giving guidance to people to make them a whole lot better or understand who they are. So it was really good. There's always been, which I've seen, a high investment in that space. If you can get the people to work really good and work in their best ability, then overall there's a better outcome. So apart from the Strengths Finders, I've engaged in personal coaching at time. Now that's just all along the lines of executive coaching. So they take what you do really well, and you get a bit better insight again on how to use what your strengths are essentially. And anything that you're not so good at, you kind of look the best that you can, outsource it to someone else. Look, it's easy to say, but never a whole lot easy to do. And as you run your own business, you wear every hat of that business, and that becomes, you know, it can be a bit of a burden on you as well as, you know, good as well. So I did that. So it's the Strengths Finder. I did another one called Wealth Dynamics. Now, when I get into Wealth Dynamics, that was more so understanding, obviously, my personality profile always popped out the same. No surprise there. But with Wealth Dynamics, it's that there says, okay, you run a business, that's fine. I'm an entrepreneur, I'm running a telco, that's great. But who is the other two people I need in my business apart from wearing a hat? Who are those two other people I need in my business? And what's their particular wealth dynamic profile that complements mine? That, again, is what I've ended up with more recently when my new business partner, Tom, has a different wealth profile to me. And when we come together, it's hilarious. Like it sounds like we're having, I wouldn't say an argument, it's just the right type of banter that you want with a business partner, but very respectful, of course. But his motivations and drive are completely different to mine. So whereas I'm a good communicator, I'm a sales guy, happy to do that. And I'll keep talking it through. Whereas he will make sure that people are getting serviced and getting sorted out. So yeah,
he's like the back end person for it. And I think that there are three really good suggestions there. The first one around reading books. So just reading and keeping your mind open to what information might support you in what you want to do or what you're thinking about doing. That's great. And you can read so much on Google now. It's just so much easier and easier every day. And then the second one around, well, if you do find some information or some insights about yourself, I really like how you were sharing there about, well, getting some expert support through a coach or an executive coach or whatever type of support that might look like, but having somebody come in to help you to really drill down and to test those strengths that you're finding and seeing whether they really do fit for you or whether sometimes people might think that there's some sort of strengths, but it's more that they actually would like those strengths and they don't necessarily have them. So it's having that objective observer or third party and not a friend or a loved one can really help there. And then your third point, which is again really good, about the going and doing some more training and working through that training and those training programs to keep growing and keep expanding. I think these are all really good points and really good suggestions for people for how to keep growing. And through that training, like you were explaining, you'll find, like with your wealth dynamics, those areas of possible weaknesses that you can then find. And we talk a lot about getting your support network correct. So finding the people that complement you. And I think that that's really important today, because it is hard delegating and it is hard to let go of things. But if you can find somebody that you know and like and trust, then you can actually delegate. And if they complement you, even better. These are fabulous tips there for how to create successful business, but also that wonderful mindset of letting go because you know you're not as strong in that area. So Tom, in your wealth dynamics example, is stronger. So you let him manage those aspects of the business. And these are great tips. Wonderful tips, Fred.
Thanks, Michelle. It's enjoyable sharing it with you. Yeah, it's cool.
And how then has it sort of over time, and I've known you for quite a few years now, how do you think focusing on these learnings has helped not only you, but I know you're involved in a lot of networking groups. So when you're sharing these insights and tips and suggestions with others and in your network in particular, how do you think it's supporting them as well with growing their mindset?
Okay, that's good. And I've got two good examples here. One where it worked amazingly well, and one where it could be subjective if it worked. So this will give you a bit of a pretty good 180-degree contrast here. But I'll give you the first one, and that is when I joined BNI, so Business Network International, and I'm still a member, and I'm actually now what's called an ambassador. So that means I go around to other chapters. Yeah, no, it's a pretty cool thing. I go around to other chapters to make sure success keeps going, and really that members get something out of their membership, as opposed to dwindling away and just thinking they have to turn up and it's all crack of the whip to make it all happen. So I'll tell you where it happened for me at BNI. It was when I was a vice president for about 6 months, and the chapter went through the process of selecting, selecting a new president, and I took on that role.
Was there any branch stacking?
Yeah. But no, not like the pollies. But you probably, well, look, you can, if you lobby anything, you can get something over the line, right? So, look, the best thing is that when I became president, it was the moment that I had the microphone in my hand. So I'm trying to give you the mic on the microphone there. That I really felt that if I just allowed my personality to show through without any judgment on myself, I would just wanted to let it sort of flow out and see where that would take me and where it would take the chapter, because that was, for every week we meet on a weekly basis, that shining through would ultimately, and it did, attract better members. People were okay to invite people, because I was in fact entertaining, as a president should do, entertaining the chapter. There's plenty of other roles that get their bits and pieces done during a chapter meeting, and it's all about sharing and asking for quality referrals. That's what BNI is all about, and it works. And it works for me. Probably about 40% of my revenue comes from a BNI referral, so it's a pretty serious marketing activity for me. Just to give you context of why I take it so seriously. But look, the moment was when I used all my strengths. I had an opportunity. I had a microphone in my hand, and it all kind of come together at that right time. So right time, right place, right time, and I was ready. So I stepped up. All those things have to work in at the right time, and I did. So I was having an absolute ball, and people. I had so many funny comments, and that were really positive. And it really just encouraged me to be more of me, and I was being more funny, and I was telling stories, and BNI is the clock's the boss, so I had to be really careful that I didn't run out of control. You had to
moderate yourself. That's so funny.
Yeah, and now chapter members always like, I'm a mentor now in the chapter, apart from being an ambassador for other chapters. But like someone will say to me, "Oh, Brad, just remind you of the time," and I go, "Oh, yeah, no, that's I completely get it." But I want to be respectful to the time. If I'm not the president, then I shouldn't have any more time than anyone else.
And I love how much that incident really sticks out in your mind, because it is in many ways, I imagine, the time, the commitment, all of those really good, important habits that you build when you're working towards something that you enjoy and you want to be doing. and how all came so beautifully together for you at that moment. And I love how you were describing standing there with the microphone, because it is, for many people, it's those moments where you always remember it, because it's like, you feel like if you pinch yourself, you know, is this really me? Is this really happening? And it's because of all that preparation. It's the years of reading those books, talking to people, doing the strengths finders, finding the complementary support people around you, all of these things that you're talking about now as if, oh yeah, of course I do all this, but it's moments like standing there in front of everybody that you go, oh yeah, they voted for me, or they elected me, selected whatever me, because they like me, and they like all of me, and the good and the bad and the funny stories.
Yeah, no, spot on. The orchestration of all those things coming together right at that time was perfect, and it was just amazing. And I even extended that more into I did a more recent marketing activity for EspressoNet, and you'll see it if anyone's watching goes to the EspressoNet website, you'll see there's a 1.5 minute video there. Check that out, because it was like at the top of all that going on, and it meant that I was sort of like in the mindset of, look, I'm going to be exactly who I am in business, and people are either going to be really attracted towards me, or they're going to be put off by it. So whichever way is good. There's not going to be much in the mediocre space. And I'll tell you what it's done. It's attracted to me marvelous people who are in business. We're all going around the world at the same pace, 24 hours of the day. You know, free trip around the sun once a year. We're all doing it. We're all doing business. I understand it's stressful to be in business, and I'm in business as well, and I'm providing a service. But I'm gonna be humble. I'm gonna be transparent, and I'm gonna be there for you. I'm gonna get it running and keep it running. And now, talking like that, obviously, you know, you don't hear the big telcos advertising like that these days. They're trying to get to that, but they never look after small business. They just want the money and forget about you. So it was about, yeah. So by this stage, my confidence is high, knowing about, you know, what I could do at a B&I chapter. Let's make sure that I'm attracting the right people towards me. Guess what? It happens because my energy's at that space, and that's what I'm trying to look for. I got a really amazing group of customers now that are in that space. So look, people do get stressed in business, and they give me a call and they go, oh, our phones aren't working, or whatever. You know, it happens. It's technology. It breaks at the best of times. Just when you want it to work, it'll break.
And I love that too, there, how you're sharing about you then took the lessons from the microphone moment and grew and expanded it again into and for people that don't do video on a regular basis, this can be quite a scary thing, talking to camera, putting yourself out there. Am I too fat, thin, young, old? Is the colour of my skin, my hair, my this, my that? There's a lot of self-talk, if I put it into that category, that you kind of go through to be able to do this. And I hear that with the way you're explaining the different examples, the self-talk that you've gone through about, am I going to be too funny, talk too much, talk to this, talk to that, whatever the thought is, but still doing it. So I really love these examples of you've kind of had all of that self-talk, had all of these thoughts and feelings and emotions, but still done it anyway. And then the proof that you're describing, which is fabulous, is that you shared that energy and you shared that excitement. And when you did that, the universe brought you people that resonated with that energy and that excitement. And now you have customers that you adore being with. And I'm sure, like me, we adore being with you and hearing the funny stories and looking at technology and phones and things that you would not normally think of in a fun way, but thinking of it differently.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely spot on, and absolutely that. Yeah, your self-talk's there, but once you've got past, yeah, and you're right, you articulated it beautifully. Once I got past that knowing, hey, people actually do really love being with me, and they tell me about it, and they tell me how I've helped them in their life or their career, or, you know, I've had so many beautiful moments where someone, and it's humbling when someone tells you, you know, you've really helped them on their way, or you helped them get to such and such, or, you know, I know you have that all the time because I know you help people, and it's just, yeah, look, I'm kind of a bit chuffed thinking about it just now. So, look, that's pretty special, and it is special. Now, I'll give you the flip side of that, where I identified where it wasn't so appropriate, and I joined a local chamber of commerce. I actually liked the networking piece, and I thought that was good. Then actually, the networking was pretty good. I decided I'll become a sponsor of the Chamber of Commerce, become one of their sponsors, because I just wanted to use the opportunity as a bit of a platform to get in front of more people. And as you know, the more people you get in front of, you talk about what you do, the more opportunity there is that someone will, one, be attracted towards you or want some of the services that you provide. So, you know, easy 101 sales there, right? Just get in front of people and start talking about what you do, or the problem you solve more. So, yeah, okay, so this is good. So I get to the Chamber of Commerce, and then I go onto the board. So that's all a big pompous thing on the board. And anyway, so I thought, I'll just be myself, you know, that's all good. But it just wasn't, the people there were good people, but it just wasn't received in the same way. And then I thought to myself, this is really, really interesting. Why are you on this board? What are you doing here? Because if you're not trying to grow your members or, you know, and then I sort of went, well, no, this is not, it just felt wrong. I thought, look, this is not me. It's not, like, individually, I was having good relationships with all those people. But when they formed as a board, it just seemed to be, I won't say dysfunctional, because that's kind of harsh too. It wasn't dysfunctional. It's just, to me, it wasn't functioning right. It didn't gel right. It just wasn't. If my grain's that way, that was completely opposite way. And it was just, so I kind of went more, I sort of went more aloof, and I went, you know what, as soon as I'm off this board, I'm off. I'm not going back to that board. And it just was the wrong place for me, and it wasn't building me. It was suppressing.
Yeah.
So that was I found that to be a pretty interesting learn. Yeah.
And I think that's a great counter example to share around how you still gave it a go and you saw through your term on that board. And there's lessons to learn, and sometimes the lesson is that for whatever reason that tribe or that situation isn't a fit for you, but to check it out, because like you know, and most salespeople know, it's getting the no's and finding out what's not working is just as important as finding out what does work. And the beauty nowadays with video is that everybody can use it to grow their business, grow their confidence, grow their self-esteem. And it is very experimental. You can do things and keep growing and growing and keep trying it out with different tribes. There's so many tribes and groups of people out there nowadays. So I know that we could probably keep talking about tribes, and you've got 1001 BNI and other networking stories that we could share, but how would people after today be able to get hold of you, Brad?
Okay, now the best way is, so there's a couple of ways. If you go to the website, which is espressonet.com.au, I've got a 1300 number there, which is very, very easy to get in contact with me. If you don't get through to me, you'll get through to my team. They'll put you through to me. The second way is please reach out on LinkedIn. I'm on a sales navigator there. You can reach out. I think it allows for plenty more people to be able to contact me. So I'm more than happy to share more stories or references for you, Michelle, particularly around, if you're interested in those steps that I've taken, particularly around, you know, the strengths finder, or you know, what personal coaching meant to me. I'm very willing to share that. Or if you're thinking about even joining a BNI chapter, wherever it is, I can help you understand what that might mean as far as, you know, a business opportunity, as well as, you know, your personal growth and everything it means. So they're probably the two things. My other business,
before you go on though, if we were looking for you on LinkedIn, is it under Brad Conyers or is it under ExpressioNet?
No, Brad Conyers. Yeah.
Brad Conyers.
Yeah, Brad Conyers. So you'll find me there. You'll see that I'm the founder and the owner of EspressoNet, and I'm also the sales director of Synergy IT. So my IT company that I also run, as well as EspressoNet. So yeah, that's a
busy. And just quickly, because we're nearly out of time, if there was a piece of advice that you would give your younger self, what would that advice be?
Yeah, look, the advice I'd give is that it's to start reading the books about humans quicker. Look, yeah, it's to get into understanding yourself as quick as you can. And there's books at all different levels and all different varieties. So you start looking for the ones that would gel at my time, even as a young man or even an adolescent, or maybe if there was someone that understood that and could talk to that, if I could get hold of them sooner, talk with them and get that advice going a lot sooner. Because then once I had the understanding, then I could harness it and I could use the power of it a lot quicker. Look, maybe I'd end up in the same place anyhow, but I'm having a lot of fun. Still having a lot of fun, and I'm doing what I really, really love to do, and it's a result of that. So, maybe it's a little bit selfish. I just wanted to do it even quicker. So, but that would be probably my advice.
That's fabulous, and I really hear that self-uncovering and the self-discovery journey that you mentioned earlier about what success means to you, and you've encapsulated that so beautifully throughout the show with the different examples. So thank you from the bottom of my heart, Brad, for being on the show today.
You're so welcome, Michelle. I've really enjoyed talking with you and your audience.
Oh, fabulous. Well, we've run out of time for today's show, but thank you again for joining us. And I hope that the different examples and stories and insights that we've shared and the fabulous guest today has shared really help you to keep growing and stretching and becoming a better version of yourself. But for now, from my heart to your heart, be great, be fabulous, and be you.